There is an opportunity for you to find answers to all your medical related questions. Join Dr. Jibs, a legit therapist consultant, psychiatrist, and health policy expert on The Legit Therapist with Dr. Jibs of the Freudian Center every Wednesday from 10 to 10:45 a.m. on Law FM 103.9. All doctors to be sharp.
This is Law FM 103.9. This is
the station for knowledge and entertainment.
Law FM 103.9.
Last. Now everybody go to breakfast.
You're tuned in to the Legit Therapist on 103.9 Law FM. On this Valentine's Day special edition, we will be discussing chop breakfast. So we'll definitely touch on love languages, attachment styles, and breakups. Today's show is going to be a very interactive one. My name is Olayinka Abe, Head Corporate Services at the Freudian Center. And with us is Jibunoh Ogunjimi, a mental health counselor at the Freudian Center.
Hi, Mr. Wiley. Good morning, Lagos.
Good morning. And for those of you wondering what the Freudian Center does, the Freudian Center is a drug and alcohol rehabilitation center, and we offer employee and family assistance programs to you. Over to Dr. Jibs, the #1 legit therapist in Nigeria.
Thank you, Mr. Wiley. How was your birthday?
Well,
I hope you didn't chop breakfast.
No. I'm happily married.
Yeah, solid.
Happily married.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's nice to be here today. Good morning, Lagos.
Good morning.
So today we'll be talking about the term or the phrase chop breakfast. We all know the trend. Once Val's Day starts approaching, a lot of youngsters start to break up, start to ghost their girlfriends in preparation for Val's Day. And then some people reconnect after Val's Day, So let's even just talk about this term. Before we used to call it, in our times, we used to call it breaking up, but some Gen Z people told me that, Doc, it's not called breaking up, it's called chop breakfast. So that's why we have Mr. Jibunoh here with us. Let her throw some more light into this term called chop breakfast. What is it about? What does it mean? How does it play out?
Chopping breakfast can be so different. It can be different for a lot of people. But we're talking psychologically, right? So
before we go psychological, just tell us literally layman term, what happens? What does it look like in everyday life? When people chop breakfast, what kind of things do your friends say? He refused to pick up my calls,
yes.
Or he blocks me on WhatsApp, or what's it like? What are the things they say?
What the nasty stuff people
that people do?
Okay, they can be like, you're too clingy, or they just ghost you.
I need some space.
What does ghosting mean?
So it's like stonewalling, putting boundaries and just not even texting the person back.
Wow.
Yeah,
so you
completely
chat them up
the
or
person.
call and they just don't pick up your call again.
They don't pick up your call at all.
Wow. What else again?
Or they can not give you an explanation, like there's no closure, so there's no sitting down to explain why you don't want to be with the person anymore. You just
man, that's so harsh. I remember in my time, I'm an old woman now. When people wanted to break up, they will call you, you guys will meet, you guys will talk about it.
Yeah, send something lengthy, at least a note.
I think you're too good for me. I think you can find someone better.
What they say now, the problem is not from you, it's me.
The problem is not you,
me.
It's me.
It's me.
Yeah, that's
a very
strategy.
general one now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that and it seems to be a very common trend now. I think it's happening a lot.
Yes.
So I hear a lot of young people when they come to meet me in therapy, they're saying, "Oh, I just met this guy. He seems like he's the one, the energy, the vibes." And then 1 week after, the guy is not answering his phone anymore, not replying to. In fact, he has even blocked the girl, and she's like,
"What did I do?
What did I do? What happened? No closure, nothing." Sometimes even the girls to the guys as well. So the guys are like, she seemed like
Can
she
I
was
speak
going to
for
be
the
the
guys?
one.
Maybe.
Yeah, you're a bad demon. I don't trust you. You're a bad boy. You're one of them.
Maybe the guy just spotted something, he just can't deal with,
But
I think it's so easy to do it these days now, than before.
Why? Because of social media?
Yes, social media. Then, there's always a replacement,
Interesting. And there's so many girls around.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not
so
it's easy
girls
to find. In those days, you didn't have social media, so if you wanted to find someone else, you
have to take the energy to approach a girl, which you have to strategize to do that. Then another reason could be there are more events now. When we're younger, there'll probably be one party in a month or in a week. Now you could go to the club, you could go to a bar, you could go,
So more opportunities to socialize. People, yes, fantastic.
And another thing,
psychologist.
Even now, like most times, people always already have like backups. Like when you're dating somebody, there's always somebody at the side that you just.
Wow, man, things are happening. Things are happening. But why we've called this show today is that we want to even let people know that this is not normal. This culture, I'm sorry to disappoint Lagos, I'm sorry to break your heart, but it is not normal. As psychologists, we would link this to the attachment theory. There's something called an attachment theory that was discovered by a man called John Bowlby as far back as 1967. He was a prominent psychologist back in the days, and he linked our behaviors in relationships to our early years, to our early childhood experiences. A lot of these things you're seeing with these Yoruba demons and all these things you're seeing, these things are not normal. It's not normal to ghost a person. We call it stonewalling in psychology. You're getting on with someone, you spend some time with them, 1 week, 2 weeks, you're getting to know them, and suddenly you just wake up one day and block them. That's not normal. That's not normal. There's something wrong with that individual. Truly. And if it's becoming a norm, then we're encouraging a dangerous culture. There's a big problem, and these things need to be addressed. The attachment theory says that the relationships children have with their primary caregivers in early years, the first 5 years of their lives, the most sensitive is the first year of life, when the child is still a baby, crying for milk and wanting to be cuddled. The way that child is treated in that first year of life has a big role in how the person would behave in relationships later in life. And the very first 5 years of life, the number of house helps you change, the number of people that become the primary caregiver is that person that would bath the child, that will feed the child, that is there for the child whenever the child needs someone. The number of primary caregivers you change or rotate in that first 5 years will determine whether the person grows up to be a Yoruba demon or not,
or friends with benefits,
or have issues in relationships. It's surprising. I'm sure Mr. Wale is amazed at what
does science really say about this?
So, in terms of attachment theory, we have under two categories. Mr. Jibunoh is going to talk more about it, but we know there are two major categories. We have the secure attachment, and then we have the insecure attachment. I'm
definitely the secure type.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
With a heavy bank account.
Mr. Wale, don't interrupt me, please. So, there's the secure and then there's the insecure. Now, whether a person becomes secure or insecure is linked to their relationship with the primary caregiver in the first 5 years of life. If the child gets that consistent care, there's someone there that cares for the child, there's someone there that is always there for the child, that child grows up to be more secure. That child grows up to be more trusting. That child grows up to be warm. That child is able to, when breakups are inevitable, but when they happen, that child is more likely to give closure or want closure or be able to end it in an amicable way and not stonewall or ghost or do hurtful stuff because they're transitioning from one relationship to another. Now, people that would fall into that category where relationships are always messy, they have a consistent pattern of messy relationships, fall under insecure attachments. So under insecure, we have three major categories. I believe.
We have the anxious, we have the avoidant, and the disorganized. Okay. So for people who are anxious, like we talked about early years, so like when they were growing up, let's give the example of children in their, like let's say they're 6 months to 1 year and they are still breastfeeding and they are crying, and you feed the child for like a few hours or minutes, and then the child wants it again, and then you're not there. So like the child is feeling like it's not consistent. Yes, it's not consistent. Yeah, the care is not consistent. So it's very unpredictable. Sorry, you can come at this point and you might not come at this point. So the child grows up to be very anxious. The child can be clingy. The child is like, I'm not sure whether I should do this. The child is basically anxious because they feel like the relationship is unpredictable. Then for
relationship, how would it play out in relationships in adulthood? Someone that anxious attachment style will show a lot of anxiety in relationships.
They'll show a lot of anxiety. They'll be very clingy,
very needy.
They'll be needy. They can have like outbursts most times because of that feeling. They don't feel there's no
attention.
Yes, and there's no sense of self-worth because it's shaky in a way. Okay. So there's the avoidant.
So the anxious type is needy,
yes,
clingy, wanting reassurances in the relationship.
Yes.
Oh, do you love me? Do you love me? They ask their partner 10 times in
yes.
a month. Do you like? Because but I just told you.
I love
you. Yesterday I love you. Now why are you asking me again today if I love you? So you see a lot of anxiety in relationships.
Yeah.
Sometimes there can be fear of abandonment. You see some people that they don't want to be left alone. They don't want to be dumb. They don't want. So there's a lot of anxiety in their relationships.
Yes, a lot of anxiety. Definitely a lot of.
You see that a lot in people with anxious attachment style. Avoidant attachment. What is that about?
So we're following the example of in the early years. So a child who is completely neglected, like there's nobody giving him attention, and so he tends to.
So the needs are neglected.
Yes, all the needs of the child are neglected.
Not all, but major. You cannot say all because I'm sure the child will not grow up and be healthy.
No, like what?
Neglected.
Okay, we're talking about the example I gave concerning breastfeeding.
What would a child need? Let's look back. A baby needs to be fed, cuddled,
loved.
But diaper change is wet. Someone will come because they cry. What are things that make babies cry now? They are hungry. Your diaper is wet. Sometimes I just want to be cuddled.
Or they're uncomfortable.
They're uncomfortable because diaper is wet.
Yeah.
Now, is there someone that meets that need when it arises? And as the child is growing up, as a young child, wants to bath, wants to feed, is there someone that meets that need as the child is under 5 years? Those are the things we're talking about. So what I said, not all, because if all the needs were not met, the child won't grow up now. Because when you say all, that means that was fed.
Yes.
So maybe when the child pulls in the diaper and is crying for 3 hours for someone to come and change the diaper, no one shows up because the caregiver is like, I beg, I'm tired or I'm not interested. And the child cries and eventually falls asleep after crying because nobody attends to his need. That's a problem.
Yes.
Or like some children that will cry 10 minutes and someone at least comes and checks up on them and solves whatever problem it is. So neglected feels like sometimes the caregiver is not in the mood to, is not interested. The family dynamics are a bit off, so it almost feels like the child's needs are not being met. Okay, so what kind of person would that person grow up to be?
So now, in the terms we use now, the person can grow up to be the Yoruba demons that we see now, the people that do one night stands or the friends who benefit people. So they don't want to express their feeling. They don't want that. I don't want to have that relationship with you.
Anybody.
Yes, they don't want to be vulnerable with anybody. They don't want to show you when they're sad, when they're happy. They just want that.
This is me.
Yeah.
Because when growing up, people didn't really meet their own needs.
Yes.
So they don't want to be vulnerable. As a child, you had no choice but to be vulnerable. But when you were vulnerable, nobody came through for you.
Okay, but
so growing up,
when people break up, it could just be that someone says, "You don't understand my love language."
We'll get there. We'll get there, Mr. Wale. Please give us a few. We'll get there. So let her trash this attachment theory first before we get there.
Okay.
So avoidant will be someone gets into a relationship and then suddenly starts to ghost you after a few hours,
the person is stonewalling. The person doesn't. So stonewalling is like creating boundaries so you don't have to express yourself to anybody.
You don't want to be vulnerable with
yes,
the
you don't
next
want to be
person.
vulnerable
For some
with the
people,
next
is that they're already feeling like they're falling for the other person. So because I feel like I'm starting to fall in love with you, I immediately put up walls. Because I don't want to feel vulnerable with someone else.
So they only trust themselves. They don't trust other people because in their early years there was nobody to trust.
Yeah. So they put up walls. That's why you see a consistent pattern. Just say, don't date Benga. He's always breaking up with girls every 2 weeks, every 1 month. He has a new girlfriend. So he would meet someone when he gets to a point where he should be vulnerable. He blocks it immediately, moves on to the next person, and then there's a consistent pattern. It's not a normal thing. Psychologically speaking, it's a problem. It's an anomaly, and it needs to be addressed. Okay, there's a disorganized type.
Yeah, that's a combination of the anxious and the avoidant. So mixing the two together.
So that's a bit extreme.
Yes, very extreme.
So a disorganized type would be. I would take that. Disorganized type would be a bit more extreme. You see a combination of anxiety in it. You see a combination of, so that's that guy that's always suspecting his girlfriend. Oh, you went there without me. You're cheating on me. You didn't pick up my call. You're cheating on me. Is it that I called you for 3 hours? Your phone rang. You must have been, always so and you
Anxious.
practically push the other person out of,
Yeah.
away from you
Yeah,
because of
yes.
the way you are so, it's a bit extreme. So people find it difficult to even cope with a disorganized. I don't know, you find the person being alone because it's so difficult to cope with you because you're anxious and you're avoidant at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's a bit extreme, So that's the attachment theory in a nutshell. Yeah, that's the question about love languages.
Yeah,
Yes.
love language.
So
because-
love language comes in when there's already a relationship. For you to even talk about love language, there must have been a relationship. They have been together 2 weeks, 1 month, a few years, and then there are issues. As opposed to attachment, where it's still in the early phases of the relationship.
Okay,
You're still
yeah,
trying
yeah,
to
okay.
connect,
Understand
You're
each
still
other.
you're still trying to build something, and then the person cuts you off.
Okay.
So in terms of a relationship that has at least lasted a while, love language can be a maker or breaker of the relationship.
Yeah.
Your ability to understand your partner's love language, your ability to communicate it appropriately, play a very vital role. So let me just allow you open the phone lines, and then we'll
All right,
continue with
people
love
of
language.
Lagos, you can join the conversation on 0703 2277 338 on 0909 555 1039. Dr. Jibs, so what's your own love language?
Hey. You said hey.
What's my love language? Okay, what are the 5 types? What are the
No, Dr. Jibs, don't dodge that question.
First, let me explain. Let me say it. So there are 5 different kinds of love language.
Okay.
So you have the act of service, words of affirmation, we have physical touch, we have quality time, and we have
Gifts.
receiving gifts. Thank you, Mr. Wale.
I love gifts.
Let's break each one down. So the first one you mentioned was which one again?
So we talked about act of service. I said act of service.
Okay. So there's love language is how you show me love
Yeah.
that makes me feel like I am loved. So if me and Mr. Wale are in a relationship now, what are the things Mr. Wale would do to me that when he does those things I feel loved? And then for you, I'm reciprocating. What are the things I would do for you that would be? So we're talking about receiving
and expressing love.
receiving and giving. Yes. So now for acts of service, for some people, when you do things for me, it makes me feel loved. Like cook for me, clean
Do
the
the
house.
dishes.
Maybe I was supposed to do the chores, but you did the chores on my behalf. Makes me feel loved. Wash my car. Service. When you're doing things, I'm supposed to go out for lunch. You buy the lunch and bring. When you do things that I should have done, you like service. I don't know if you understand.
Yeah, I get you.
It makes me feel love. Just like how the woman washed the feet of Jesus and Jesus felt love in that moment.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was an act of service.
Yeah.
So acts of service is one. Then
Receiving gifts.
receiving gifts. For some people, they love to receive gifts. When you buy them gifts, when you give them gifts, they feel like they are loved. So that's one. Some people like to give. Some people like to receive.
Receive,
Yeah.
Words of
Words
affirmation.
of affirmation has to do with reassuring that person, oh, you're beautiful, you're this,
I
you're
love
that,
you.
I love you so much, blah blah blah.
You're my
You
world.
tell them over and over again. For some people, that works for them. And then we have
Physical touch.
physical touch. It's amazing. I didn't even know physical touch was my love language until recently. I must tell you, I'm amazed at how
Oh, so you already told us one of your love languages.
I'm a hugger. I like to hug people, but I didn't know that I like to. Maybe that's why I like to hug people, because I like to receive, like to be touched. I didn't even know that,
Yeah.
But recently I found that, and I'm amazed by that
Yeah.
discovery.
Okay.
So if you be amazed that some people just like to be touched. You're walking into the kitchen, you give them a hug. I don't know, Mr. Wale.
Well, how do you differentiate? That's the
Yeah.
problem.
So
now.
physical touch is not just about being sexual.
Yeah.
It's about like the intimacy, the hugs, the kisses, the romance, the skin to skin touching, and all
When
of
you're not
that.
even expecting it.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
even when it's
She's in the
best.
kitchen and you just come and
Give her a
just
hug.
all those Korean film things.
Then there's one more. I think there's one more language I will talk about.
Yes,
which will be
Sorry. Quality time.
quality time. So
Yeah.
for some people, spending that time with their partner. Well, we even see that a lot of times in women, they just want to just sit with you and
Yeah,
talk.
talk. Yeah.
And the guys will be like, I beg.
I'm
I want
busy,
to watch
I'm trying to
Manu
make
is
this
playing,
money."
Manu is playing, or this man talks too much. But just sitting down and listening to her just makes her world, makes her feel good. The fact that she's going to rant and get you to listen just makes her world. So in the clinic, we're able to help people assess their own love language. Sometimes you might not really be sure of what your love language is, but we have certain tools that we can use to assess and help you. I've had couples come in and they're like, I don't know what's wrong, I just don't feel loved, I don't feel, and then we do this love language test, and then we're able to identify each person's love language and say, okay, go back and try these things, and they come back and they're like, wow, it's like my marriage just went from a 0 to 100. You know, because now they're speaking the same language. So it's very important in terms of keeping my marriages stable.
All right, people of Lagos, you can join the conversation on 0703 2277 You can call and ask Dr. Jibs any question about love language, attachment styles, or anything that you want to know about love. You can also call on 0909 555 1039. All right. So, how was your vows day?
I was at work, Mr. Wale. Although I did receive gifts, which made me happy. But I was at work.
So, is that one of your love languages?
No, I prefer quality time and acts of service.
Okay. So, what if somebody has gone out of his way to buy a girl very expensive gifts, and that's not a love language? Okay, we have a caller.
Good morning, Wale.
Yeah, good morning. Your name and where you calling from, please?
I'm calling from Makoka.
Okay, Dr. Jibs is here to answer any of your questions.
Psychology is quite interesting.
Yes, sir. Good morning,
but
sir.
I was just laughing because like this language that you have not mentioned, and I think it cuts across all women, and that is the money language.
Money language.
Woman is sweet, it takes all your money. So, what role does money play in all this language that you say? Is psychology help us? Because you have money, you don't have a wife. You have money, you don't have a girlfriend. So, but I think it's a language that they understand more, and it's just like putting the round peg in a round hole. But when the woman sees money, she smiles at you. I think it's a general thing. Please, let's put it into part of this language.
Thank you very much. But sincerely, what does that fall under?
Money is a stressor.
It's a stressor, okay.
Because money is needed to meet all your needs. You need money to feed, you need money to provide shelter. You know, we talk about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You know, at the very bottom. It's just that in more civilized societies, the very bottom of that scale, which is food, shelter, and security,
are readily available.
Very basic things. Yeah, they are readily available. If you can't get, you can go to a shelter. There are resources for things like that. But now in Africa, in developing nations, we provide everything for ourselves, and everything requires money. So when there's no money, it is really a stressor. And I think that's why in this society, money is such a big thing.
But what of those people that say love is not all about money?
Yeah, but it's a stressor.
It's a stressor.
It strains, a lack of money strains the relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you find it difficult to meet your basic needs. Of course, it's gonna put.
But would men think women just want money? Yeah, that's what we think.
That's true.
I've heard that statement a couple of times.
All women want money.
Yeah.
What kind of women are they dating?
Because I think the idea is to be a woman is expensive. You know, you have to take care of yourself, your makeup, your hair.
Not all women use makeup. And yeah, a lot of women are independent.
Yeah. So it depends on the kind of women you're chasing. You know, as an alpha, no, seriously, in terms of men, we have alpha males. Alpha males they're very masculine, and they want to take care of a woman. So when they're most likely going to be attracted to women that are very feminine. Oh, I need a man to take care of me. Oh, I need to pay my rent. They're attracted. So most likely the kind of girls you'll be chasing are those kind of girls.
Yeah.
And it's because of the kind of women you're attracted to. As an alpha male, you want to be the lion in the relationship. You want to be the provider. So the kind of women you will chase are women that seem vulnerable, they seem like they need a man, they need this. You naturally gravitate towards those women. So I don't think you should be offended that the women seem to
asking for registration fee. Those are the kind of
women you are chasing. And alpha men will not want to chase an independent woman. They are women that take care of themselves. They work, they feel like I don't need a man to buy me makeup or buy me food, or I can do that myself. But those kind of women would attract a different kind of men, a set of men, not the alpha male, but more like the men that have some kind of feminine energy as well, who need a woman to complement them, who feel they want to work with the woman, not the one that wants to. I don't know if you understand.
I get you. Back to my question before the call came in, I was trying to point out when there is conflict of love language. So a guy goes out of his way to buy a girl a very expensive gift, and in return the girl says, I just want quality time, I don't want all this. And the guy can't just understand, because he doesn't have that time, but he's ready to show his love in different other languages.
There'll be issues in the relationship. There'll be problems. That's why you see that kind of relationship. Guys say, oh, I bought her this, I bought her that, and she cheated on me. They're not speaking the same love language. And she has already communicated. Now she has hinted, oh, you're not spending time, he's not listening. That's where the problem starts. That guy is not listening. He still feels, don't worry, when I make the money, I'll just send that one Range Rover, I'll just send that one this. But the man is communicating, I need to spend time with you, I need to spend time with you. When eventually that woman now cheats, now you say, oh, she's a terrible woman. But she has been dropping, communicating. But the guy is also
communicating too. Now my love language is money. Spend my money.
So we need to speak each other's love language. It's important that we identify our partner's love language. We speak the same language. That kind of person that even if when he makes out that time for her, she would value it way more than the gifts he's giving her. You'd be amazed the way she would light up, because he's speaking what she likes. You'll be amazed at the difference that you will see in the relationship. So we need to.
But must everybody speak at least a portion of each love language?
Sometimes it's more. You can have more than one. Just like Jibunoh said earlier on, she has two. Some people have multiple. So when we assess, it's a scale. You can have 2 or 3 love languages as the top languages. So when you're, as the boyfriend or the girlfriend, you should give a mix of all 3. So if you have a girl that likes quality time plus gifts plus touch, do a blend of mix of all that. If you're intentional about keeping that relationship, you should be ready to work to make it last. So it's about a blend and doing what you feel that person will perceive as love.
All right, doctor, that takes me. So how do we recover after a nasty breakup, and our mental health is at risk? What will you advise?
Wow. So breakups are stressors as well. They have been triggers for lots of mental health issues. So you'll be amazed at how many people have come down with one mental health condition because they were jilted or because they chopped breakfast. So as much as we trivialize the culture, it's a very damaging one, and it should not be encouraged. Really, it shouldn't be encouraged. First, I'd say the support system helps. It's like grief. When you lose a relationship, it's like you go into grief as well.
Yeah.
And grief is one of those things you go into when you're bereaved. So if you lose a loved one, you go into a grief reaction. Same thing with being jilted, because you're going to grieve what could have been in that relationship. That relationship could have led to marriage. That relationship could have led to one thing or the other.
There was expectation.
There were expectations. So of course, once there's a breakup, you would grieve that loss. There's been a loss. The support system around that time makes a big difference in whether you succumb to a mental illness or not. So if you have, for girls that have lots of friends or guys that have lots of friends, they're able to spend time with their friends, they're able to take their mind off what they're going through. It helps them navigate through that early phase better than someone that lives alone. You've broken up with the person, you now come back, you're by yourself alone every day thinking about the relationship. That kind of person might sink into depression or some other mental health issue. So first I would say support system. The support you have around you, the love you have people show you during that phase, because it's just a phase. After a while, the person would pass through and move on. But I would say that the solution is not jumping from one relationship
to another, rebound,
because truly you still grieve that initial relationship. So spend time with loved ones. Maybe if your family, you live alone in Ibadan and then your family is in Lagos, that's the time to move to Lagos. Take a leave. Take leave off work and move to Lagos and spend time with your family. Get your mind off that relationship. You'll be amazed. You do that 1 month, 2 months, you'll be fine again. You go back to Ibadan, you might be ready to date again. But if you are still isolated alone in another place all by yourself, the grief will last longer and it'll be harder to heal.
Right.
I think you can also talk to somebody. I mean, Nigeria, we don't always want to discuss with people, but you can also talk to people.
So how do we know who to trust? That's the problem.
That's what I'm saying. You talk to someone who is neutral, who
confident.
can keep your secret, and who you can discuss anything with, and she won't like judge you or feel anyhow. So talking to someone neutral can also help, like a therapist.
Yeah, that's true.
For guys, I think the way guys deal with breakups, is totally different from the way a woman would. What do you think?
Yeah, guys are wired a certain way. But I must say that drinking and using drugs and alcohol is not the solution. A lot of people do that. A lot of people, the moment they get the...
Let's go and hang out.
The moment they chop the breakfast, they are off to the bar to go and drink and smoke. That's not the solution. That's not the solution. Spending time with your social support will do better for you. Spending time with people that love and care about you will do more for you than that. Okay. And then I must add that learning the lessons from the relationship is also important. So, which is where maybe if you talk to someone, you can now reflect on the red flags in the relationship. What were the things you didn't do right or you did right? So that you learn the lesson before you move into another relationship. You can't just keep carrying the same errors into different... Of course, you're going to have problems. But if you're able to pick the lessons from each relationship before you go into the next one, it will make a big difference in how, your relationship life would be.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Jibs. And since this is our vows special, definitely, I wanted you to touch on, youths and the way they carry these vows day, and what was your opinion around this?
That's a very wonderful question, because if you checked online on social media, IG or Twitter, you just see, even before Valentine, we already had pre-Valentine gifts and oppression all over,
So what are your opinions?
We're all young too one time. Yeah. I remember my first vow when I was in school, when I was in 100 level. I was just on my own JJ, and someone came to vow me. And then with the vow, there was a relationship request. Will you be my girlfriend? And because I said no, hey, that trouble. And this group of friends victimized me for a while. I was like, what kind of wala is this one again?
So what should you have done in that case? Return the gift? Or not even accept it? What's the safe? What's the safe?
Not accept.
Because I know guys do that.
I didn't get the drift. I accepted the gift. Then later on, there was now like the next day there was, will you be my girlfriend? I like, no, I won't be your girl. And I opened it and eaten the chocolates and everything. Wahala. Yeah, maybe I should have just gone to buy it back and because then he was so angry. And his friends too now backed him. I was like, why won't you be his girlfriend? So I would say you don't need someone else to vow you to show yourself love. I think that's where there's a problem. It's not if someone vows you, fine, but vows say it's a day to show love.
Yeah, but relationships have ended. I
can show myself love and I can give love to other people.
Yeah,
you understand? Yes.
Not just
for me, vows over the years, I've been vowed sometimes, I've not been vowed sometimes. But over the year, what I did as a person was that I created a culture where I didn't have to wait for someone to vow me. I would vow other people. I would give gifts on that day, just to show love. So it could be random people. It might not even be someone I'm targeting. It just to be random people in the workplace, my colleagues, and just because it's vows day, you are my vow today. I'm buying you a cake, or I'm doing something nice for you.
Which is good. But where I was going, some relationships have ended just because one party vowed the other, and the other one did not reciprocate. We've seen that happen several times. I went out of my way to buy her something. She didn't even buy me nothing.
Reciprocity is a very important feature in relationships. If you do not reciprocate love, affection, of course there are going to be problems. So if it's one-sided,
so it's not just about vow.
It's not just about vow. In relationship, if one person is doing all the giving, all the loving, all the checking, of course there are going to be issues now. For it to work, it has to be a two-way thing. So sometimes you might not even expect anything just because the person was thoughtful and did that for you. There's nothing stopping you. You might not give them the kind of gift they gave you, but show some love in return as well. Yeah.
Like, oh, you bought me this on my birthday, and
show some love in return.
Okay, I get that.
We are human. As much as you want to be loved, someone else wants to be loved as well. So show the love. You're more likely to receive love when you show love.
But I have a question. If somebody gives you a gift on, like maybe your boyfriend or girlfriend gives you a gift on Valentine, you don't give it back, is that an issue?
reciprocity is good.
Yeah, I think
Why
that's
it doesn't have to be
reciprocity.
the same. I'm just telling you, that boyfriend that gave you that gift is showing you love. You understand? Why don't you want to also show? Mind you, love is not that you had sex with him. I saw one meme the other day. Fornication on birthday is not Valentine gifts. So some girls will be like, oh, he's going to buy me this, and in return, I'm going to give him the best night of his life. That is not the Baal gift. Show him love. Just the way he went out of his way, he was thoughtful. Maybe he thinks, oh, this girl likes green scarves, so he went out of his way and looked for a lovely green scarf. That just shows that someone is mindful and thoughtful. When to look for that thing you like. You too should also put some effort into looking for that thing that they also like. It's just a way of showing love. I don't know if you understand.
Yeah, I understand. So how early should they be playing the Valentine's game? Because a 12-year-old in school now has a Valentine card. Even a 2-year-old, I think I've seen nursery schools, talk about this.
I think for children, I think we shouldn't just restrict it to a lover's thing. That's where there's a problem with young people. Because you have made it seem like, oh, Val's is only for boyfriend, girlfriend. It's only boyfriend. So everybody starts looking for boyfriend before February 14th so that I get a gift. Val's Day is love for everyone. I can show my colleague love because it's Val's Day.
Our producer
love. I can show you love because it's Val's Day. You don't have to be my boyfriend or girlfriend. That's where there's a problem. So these children, from early on, you can let them understand that me buying my teacher a gift on Val's Day is still showing love. It doesn't have to be a boy to a girl or a girl to a boy. It can be girl, it can nice, be parent, child. Yes, just showing love on that day. I think that's the culture we should teach these children from early on. So they're not fixated on boyfriend, girlfriend. It's time to lose my virginity. It's time to no. We need to erase that culture. Let it be just love. Show love on that day, and I think that would help.
Okay, Jibunoh, any contribution?
No, I think that's a very wonderful answer.
Okay, so it's how about teenagers? Any advice for teenagers? Because that teenage age is also a very, very critical one.
But you just asked me about children. So if from early on we've imbibed a culture where it's not boy girl, it can be teacher student, it can be brother sister, it can be. By the time they move into teenagers, that culture is already there. So you're not looking for a boy to give you gift for you to be happy on Val's Day. You understand? You can take yourself out to a spa. You and your girlfriends can go to a retreat or do something nice just because it's Val's Day.
All right.
If you understand.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jibs. Okay. Any final words for a round of the show? The phone lines are still open. 0703 2277
Our topic is very serious. We are shaking tables today, so I'm not expecting too many calls because we are shaking tables.
0909 555 1039.
Life is an anomaly. Shaking tables. But it's important to let people understand that this culture that we're developing is not normal, and it should be addressed. As I will say, people don't understand that they need therapy. They really don't understand the need for therapy, but these are some of the issues. If this is becoming very rampant within relationships, it shows that a lot of people do need therapy and they're not seeking for it. So at the Freudian Center, we are very available for love language assessment. We are available for attachment style assessment and even relationship for mending and building relationships. We are very available. We have a group of mental health counselors, spiritual counselors, psychologists and psychiatrists that can work with the public to help them navigate through their relationships. So we're very available. So we just want to thank Lagos for listening. We'll be back.
Yeah, good morning. Your name and where you calling from, please? Can you speak louder, please? Okay,
we can't hear you.
We can't hear you. You might need to speak up.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you better now. Okay, you're not so
audible. Can you speak louder?
You can show your love to your pastor or your wife.
Okay, he's talking about different people you can show love to.
On Valentine's Day. All right, thank you for your contribution. You're not so audible.
Thank you very much.
You so
he
much.
was saying that you can show love to other people, like we said earlier. So he added pastor and other people. So you can show love to other people on Val's Day. It doesn't have to be a male-female thing.
So, Dr. Jibs, I hope we have an exciting topic lineup coming up.
Of course, next week. We'll be having a guest next week. Okay, we have another call. Good morning, Law FM.
Yes, good morning.
Share your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Tunde from Ibadan.
Oh, wow. Good morning, Tunde.
Yes, good morning. Okay, yes, am I on the Legit Therapy show?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are, sir.
Okay, I have a question. So we talked about relationships and breakfast. I think I would want Dr. Jibunoh to answer my question, or counselor.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what do you do when you're dealing with a relationship where you're happy and you know that this is the person you want to be with, but at the same time you probably have some mental issues you think you need to deal with that might resurface in the long run. When you start having issues in your relationship, like everybody does, when you just have this
feeling, I get that
feeling of you don't deserve to be happy.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Did you get the question?
Yeah, I got the question.
No, I
let me
didn't
repeat that for you. So he's saying that you are in a relationship with someone, and while you're still understanding your attachment styles, you're already saying things that you have trouble with in the future, and those things are mental health issues. So he's talking about when you start seeing signs that this person is going to give you this type of trouble in the long run. What do you do?
So is it in the other person or in himself?
In the other person? I think you meant the other person.
Is it the other person or
is this still on the call?
It's a bit of both. The other person has some habits or attitudes, and while one party also has issues of maybe misinterpreting, or is just not comfortable with some things, and he cannot learn to be comfortable with something. So it's a little bit of an issue with it.
So are you asking us how to break up with a girl? Is that the question?
No. No.
So Jibunoh has thrown your question back at you.
Wow. Okay.
You know what I would say is that no one is perfect.
Yeah.
No single person is perfect. There's no perfect woman out there or perfect man. You just have to look for in that person's imperfection. Can I cope with this person's imperfection? It's even good when you're dating the person, when you can see the person's imperfection. So you see what's the worst thing I would expect in this relationship. It's better.
Yes,
so
rather than
you get like
hiding
a
it.
heads up early on, so you can say this person's own. Okay, what's the worst thing this girl does? I don't know what are some of the things some people do. She shouts a lot.
Yes.
She bites her nails.
She's too clingy. She's too needy.
You can see that, and then you're coping. Maybe you have a plan B. My plan B does this. Nobody is perfect. Which one's imperfection can I cope with? And then you carry it down, because you yourself are also not perfect. So that's how marriages work. The marriages you see now that have been 50 years, 60 years, they are not perfect though. They have their own issues, but they've looked at each other's imperfections and said, oh, I think I can cope with this person's imperfection. I can carry on. It's better than option B or option C. This one I can cope with, this one I can carry on. So for me, that's what I would say. Don't be too fixated on the imperfections. Don't be too fixated on the negatives. If there are some mental health issues you're seeing now, you guys can go and seek for help together. Get her the help she needs. Because truly, today she might be the one on the table, tomorrow it might be you. Tomorrow it might be another family member. Mental health is on a continuum. Every single one of us, our mental health fluctuates depending on the situations around us. Things can be rosy today, tomorrow it might not be rosy, and your mental health might fluctuate. You understand?
Yeah.
So go together, seek that therapy together. It binds you, it helps you become closer. You've gone through a hurdle together, and that cements the relationship. It strengthens the relationship. So please don't look for imperfections. Walk through those imperfections so that you can have the perfect girl for you. All right. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jibs.
Thank you,
so
Dr. Jibs. At this point, we've run out of time. Thank you, people of Lagos, for listening.
I hope we're able to enlighten Mr. Alawale today. You heard
yeah.
some things you never heard before.
Definitely, I learned.
So
At least I know.
Psychology is very broad and very interesting.
Yes,
And that's what we're trying to get people to understand. We're trying to expose the public to the many faces of many facets of psychology and apply these things to our everyday lives.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
So signing off.
See you same time.
Same time next week, Wednesday, 10 a.m.
All right. Thank you.